Istongon Jokayade Gaga. Istongon Jokayade Gaga. Okay, we're moving on, guys.
Mvhayv, we can't see you.
Can't see me. I am screen sharing. How about now? Can y'all see me? Okay.
We can see the screen. There you go.
Got it. Okay. Stongon Jokayade Gaga. This is saying to all of you, you know, this one. To everybody, what good morning to all of you. We don't have good morning, but this is what it's saying to it. More than one, okay? Then we have just one person. Okay. Now we're gonna go into more things today, so be ready for it. But this has been going on repetition. Okay. Greetings. It says Hishje. Hello. Response. Hishje. This is talking to another person. Istungo. Chinda. Istungesos. Shihijayat hitos. Chimio. Keep forgetting his hand. And it says, Tihijigat Hofoni. We haven't seen each other in a long time. Mondos, that's true. Abaldagi Dongon Fulla. How's the family? How's the rest? Dongon Fullis, they're okay. Now this is talking to somebody, okay, and they're responding to you. Chinakta, how about yours? How about yours? Chinak means yours. Then this is to a visitor. Ajibus, come in. You know, you go out your door and you say Ajibus. Then you say legibus or double legibus. Sit down or have a seat. You want something to drink? Not iskida giagigo. You know, in our society or in our culture, we always offer something when somebody comes over, something to drink. Or if you want somebody to say, I have coffee, so you would say, not coffee, OJ, somebody mute. And you ask them, have you eaten somebody needs a mute. You made it back. Talakaja. I'll see you again. Chihijasis. Hadam Talagachi. You come back again. And if you notice that exclamation point, you just don't walk up and say, Hadam Talagachi. That don't sound invited, does it? This is where tones come in. Remember, we studied tones. Hadam Talagachi. You gotta have that tone to make it and you know, this past week, started Thursday, my nephew passed away, you know, and so through this whole process, I found out Tuesday and they had the funeral yesterday. So I've been running on this highway, but we used a lot of this. When somebody came we had his funeral at a center, at a community center. When they came in, we said, Ajibus, Legibus. And I said, Coffee, Ojidos. Instead of saying OJ, it's mine, I said, Coffee, Ojidos. There is coffee. You know, there is coffee. And everybody that walked in, they said, Abaldagi Dongun Fulla. They was talking about my family. How's the rest of them? I said, Dongodos. And you know, a lot of this went on because right here says we haven't seen each other. A lot of them, we don't never see each other until a funeral comes up. a lot of them, and so my uncle wouldn't let us really have a family reunion because he said during a time of a family death is when the reunion comes in, and it sure was. We saw everybody that we haven't seen in a long time, and so that's what we went through this past week. We was at a funeral yesterday, and we just been kind of on the highway for the last since Thursday, trying to get things done, and yesterday he was laid to rest. So, and me and him was his nickname, his real name was Mickey Smith Jr., but his nickname was Nogushi. And I named him that. I named all three of my all three of the kids. There's 2 boys and 1 girl, and I named one Woodko, and I named the other one in English Tiny, because she's real tiny. I named her Tiny, but the rest of them I named. And each time in our culture, when you name somebody, you have to give them something. So with this first one, when I named him Nogushi, I gave him a little sweater to wear. And with the second one, when I named him, and they always come to me and told me to name him. So when I named him, I gave him a little suit, and that's the way we are. But I was raised with him because I was 3 years older. But I don't remember a lot of things because I was 3, but I do remember when they brought him home, because I was the only younger one in the family. So everybody catered to me because I was the baby of the family. Well, when he brought him back, I don't remember this, but my mom said, I looked at him and said, I'm still baby. And I thought, did I say that? That was cold. And she said, yeah, you did. She said, you told him, I'm baby. And he said, he was just a newborn, But I let him know at the very beginning when he came home that I was still baby. But he passed, so it was one of those. I lost what I grew up with. Well, of course, we was in the country, and he was my little companion, the only 2 that was little. So we grew up together like brother and sister, and so we went fishing, we went everywhere, we went, did everything together until life kind of pulled us apart. But life would bring us back together, because when my dad, that was his focal point during that time. And he was 3 when my dad died, but my dad was coming out of the hospital. And he said, and he knew he didn't understand, but I guess he wanted the rest of the family to hear it. We was bringing my dad home, and he had him in his lap, and he said, if you have nowhere to go and no home and hungry, he said, you go where my little girl is. You go where my little girl is. And he says, you'll have a place. So I've always honored that. So when he didn't have nowhere to go or was homeless, he was at my house. When he was hungry, he'd show up every time. And I honored my daddy's request to him. And my mom told me that. He said, he was told that when he was 3 years old. So he was up until then, and life separated us, and life would bring us back together. But that's where I was this last week. But it was good. We got him buried, and he's at rest now. So I'm proud of that. Okay, advanced greeting. This is another one we went through this past weekend. What is going on? And okay, here it is right here. Hishte, you all right? How are you? Istungo. See, I don't usually say Hishte in my little world. I say Istungo. You all right? How are you? Istungo. And that's what I say. And it says, and how about you? Munchinda. Estungesos, I am well, I'm all right, And imungos, still the same. So you would say istungo, and you can say istungesos, I am well, I am all right, or you can say imungos, still the same, still the same. And nothing's changed, still the same. And that's what kind of how I use it. And it says istungon, jina hamgalgi istungon fulla. Is your family okay? Jina hamgalgi. If you look at this, Jina means your body. Hamgalgi. That means the one body that comes from that family. Jina hamgamge istungon fulla. Istungon fullis. They're all right. They're around okay. Hubidagida. How about the kids? Heathen fullis. Heathen means they're good and they're going around good. Heathen fullis. Then haven't seen you in a long time. Jihitagad hofunidad. Your mother, is she fine? Jitskida istungo. Dungon lektos. She's all right. She's okay. She's living okay. Dungon means all right, and legidos. Legi means like she's sitting somewhere, but she's living. She's living okay. Jitskida, your father. Imongos. Hadam jihijathis. I will see you again. I will see you again. Hadam is again and jihijathis. So this is something that we kind of that's how I do my greetings. I don't use history very much. I'll say stungo. And I went through a lot of that this past week, especially through in our culture, we have a wake, and we had wake Sunday night, and then yesterday and I'm gonna go through a little bit of this funeral etiquette since I was teaching my grandkids and my kids, what my kids know, but I was, we don't never leave the body by itself. Even if in the daytime, like during the wake service, we have a wake, we set up with them all night, or just long as somebody's there. Sometimes we sleep on the floor, sleep in a chair, but long as somebody's in there with the body. And so yesterday, during the wake service, everybody went outside, and me and this girl was left in there, and she goes, well, somebody better come back in here, because we need to go. We was wanting to go outside too, but we was waiting for somebody to come back in to sit with the body. And I was telling my little grandkids, which they're little, 13, 8, and 13, 9, and 7. And I said, and we was teaching them. And me and my husband was teaching them about etiquette. And a lot of people don't take their kids to funerals, but we, as Indian people, we do. Because it's part of life. So we don't keep them, and you'll hear people say, well, we've never been to, we don't take our kids to a funeral. But and there was a bunch of kids there. I mean, there was a lot of kids there, but that's how our practice is. We let them go to a funeral. We let them learn about death. And we was telling my husband was doing things, and he was telling my grandson, teaching him. Because he said, one day you're going to have to do this, Jabon. And he said, I will. And then I was teaching my kids, my daughters, y'all need to teach these kids, and I was talking to them, don't ever leave a body, even in the house, even if people's outside, we don't leave it by itself. We was going through these things, and it was like a teaching, even though there was death in our family, we were still teaching, and so, and I was talking to him, and it was one of those, and every day was a teaching thing. In our culture, we tell them why, how come, and they didn't ask questions why, but we told them, and then how to bury our people, what to do. We did all that, during this time, and it was teaching. And I'm hoping the oldest one will remember. And I told her, I said, you remember this stuff, and you got to pass it down to these two little ones. Cause one of us is gonna go one day, and she said, I remember mom, grandma. And of course, my girls know, but I was sitting there with the grandkids, teaching them as we was going through this stuff. And so, it was a teaching tool, even though it was a time of death, we was still teaching. Okay, look here. Job phrases. Remember, job belongs to you. It's a possession. Possession, remember, job. And this is what you use most of the time, job. Feelings, jalois, I'm hungry. Januchkilis, I'm sleepy. Jafachkis, I'm happy. And this is saying you use job when nothing can be transferred that belongs to you. And most of the time it's your family and your body parts or your feelings. Look here. Chachki, my mother. Chachki, my father. Chaboja, my grandfather. Chaboshi, my grandmother, because you can't give them away. You can't give them away. They're yours, so you got to use cha. Say it is possessive. My head, chaga. My hand, chingi. Oh, changi. My heart, chafigi. My stomach, chanaski. My arm, chashakwa. So see, all this can't be transferred, so they're yours, and they can go further than this. Your head, your hand, your heart, your stomach, your leg, your anything. That cannot be separated. Your mother, your father, from you, that belongs to you. If it's possessive, and so this is how you use this now. Remember that. Okay. Look here. Hombida hayagis. Look how this is done. Let's grill some hamburgers. See, we don't say cook, but they say let's grill, and we'll say hamburger hodobagis. Hodobagis means broiled or baked, but when you put it like this, that means let's, and this is where situation environment comes in. This is when you're putting it on the grill. Hamburger, remember? We didn't know what hamburger was, so hamburger is how they said hamburger. They made it into Creeklish. Hamburger hodobagis. Burgers, grill, let's. Okay. Do you have a recipe? Istomi hagida hochat oji chidoa. Okay, look here. We don't have a word for recipe, so this is what we're saying. How to make it, is it wrote down? Do you have something that's wrote on it? That's a recipe. Okay, that's a recipe. Because the recipe, we don't have that, but anything that's written, that's how come we said istomi hayida. Istomi means how hayida to make. Hochat or jichido, or something that's written down on how to make it. That's a recipe. And it says, I usually make everything from scratch. Not amidat hayibe Luis. Amidat means myself. Not amidat hayibe Luis. Hayi is make. Be is like I. Duis, I do. That's what that is. And this language is going to go, it's going to go deeper. It's going to go deeper. So I'm kind of giving you a fresh kind of a taste of what, and I'll be gone since Thursday. So some of this, I had it on the website and I just pulled it up on that I did, and I was going to show y'all. I usually make, okay, we have to heat up the oven first. Jado heyi cheek the wahanis. Jado is rock, heyi, but in this situation, it means to steal. Heat up the steel. Heyi cheek means we have to heat it up first. Stove, heat, have to. Jado heyi. And that's all I knew was jado heyi. Even a gas stove, even anything that has to do with a stove is jado heyi, and it means hot rock. Jado is rock, and heyi means hot. That's a typo right here. Should be an I. Sorry about that. This is an I, y'all guys. Chado heyi, heyi chito hanis. Chado heyi is hot steel. Hot steel. Could you peel potatoes? And we went through a lot of this, can you do this? Can you do that? Aha jithihi. Aha jithihi is potatoes. Aha means like a potato, but jithihi means like bumpy. And if you look at a potato, they're bumpy, aren't they? It's descriptive. Chado aha jithihi. Galafit chiha. Galafit means peel it. Peel it. Galafit. Can you slice some vegetables? Naklani diwatit chiha. Naklani is green things because we don't have word for like a mix, they just call it naklani. Diwatit chiha. Diwatit means cut it up. Chiha means can you? Can you? I need to cut the ham. Shokahavi is ham. Diwatiden chayachtos. Diwatiden means to cut, I want to do. Shokahavi diwatiden pig thigh to cut, I have. Should I start grilling the chicken? Dolosi hudubida allergy jahanaya. Dolosi is chicken, hudubida is grill. Start. Should I? Allergy means to start. Hana, yeah. Ania means should I? Is water boiling yet? Owa moska? Moska means boiling, and owa is water. How many cups of flour do we need? Hochkadi is flour. Hochkadi is flour. Siskida is a cup. Okay, when we follow like a recipe, a cup, if it says 1 cup sugar, you would say, siskida hamgen. Okay. But you would put the item in the front, you would say, ashokla sugar. You say siskida hamgen. But right here saying how many cups you need. How many cups do we need? Hochkadi is flour now, remember that. Siskida is a cup. So if you say half cup, you would say what? Siskida nathkaba in nathkaba, half a cup. That's the recipe. Like you'd say 1 cup, and this, and then the pinch, a pinch of salt. Okchan what doshi. Doshi means a little bit. That's a pinch. Bishini has butter. It's you could do, and we're going to go back through these guys, but what kind of seasoning should we add? Not abaya hania. Nagin abaya hania. We don't have a word for seasoning, so we're just saying nagi abaya hania. What are we going to put into it? What are we going to add? Salt, okchanwa, pepper, homoji, a pepper like hot red pepper. Homoji or homojadi. Homojadi is hot. Says just only add a pinch of salt. Okchamwan ishtumushin abayas. Salt, very little. Add pinch. Pinch is a little bit, and this is what this is. Ishtumushin. Tumushin abayas. And that's how we learn how to cook in the kitchen, because they would give us directions in Muskogee, not in English. And pinch means just a little bit, and that's what they were talking about, pinch of salt. We didn't learn, and a lot of our stuff, our traditional foods didn't have recipes. We would just kind of eye it. And here, they want me to teach to make chadahaga, blue bread. Here in a few weeks, they want me to teach it. So I'm gonna go and teach them how to make blue bread. And I got the coloring, but they said just tell us what we need to buy, and we'll buy it and you teach us. So I'm gonna teach some community members how to make chadahaga. I can make vinaigrette. Ooh, look here. We don't have vinaigrette. Well, we do. We have vinegar, but this is for a salad. Vinegar is widoshi. And but it says vinaigrette. So we just have to say Lani Babka, City Yamgat, Sukjanida, Hayatis. She gonna make it. Sukjanida is to put it in there, pour it in there. Because we don't have vinaigrette. Says, how do I can make a vinaigrette for the salad. Says green to eat mixed to pour on, I will make.
So you say it without saying it.
Yeah, you say it without saying it. And see, look here, look at, if I came to Desiree in here and said, green to eat mixed to pour on, I will make. She's gonna look at me like, you know, I guess, or okay. She won't know what I'm saying in English, but if I came to her and said, speaker, Lani Babka, Shidi Yamga, Shuktanida, Hayatis. She'll say, oh, I know. Oh, I know. Hayabas. Okay, go ahead and make it. See, go ahead and make it. Makes perfect sense in Muskogee, but if I said green to eat, mixed, pour on, I will make. Okay. Then she's like, okay, oh, whatever, and that would be me, whatever. Okay, go ahead. Okay, do you want to grate some cheese over it? Wagabashi dalegi abayas chiach no mat. Cheese, add it if you want. And this is really, I don't know, I had fun with this. Can you set the table? Oh, hombida. Ayo hobohi chihana. Alkoboy chihana. Table, put things on it. We don't say set it, we just say put things on it. And that means plates, forks, spoons, whatever y'all use. In my household, we use plates and forks. That's it, no spoons unless we need them, And then my grandson, if we have dalak chadi, red beans, and alosho, if we have rice, he'll say, Grandma, I need a bowl. Because he mixes it up and eats it. So he'll use a bowl and spoon. These cookies don't have any nuts in them, right? Oh, see, you would say that. But in Muskogee, I say, Dalek chambuji, oji. Oji godosh, maktoget. See, right? We don't have that. We don't speak like that, but look what we did. Dalek chamboji, oji godosh, maktoga, or cookies, nuts don't have. Didn't you say? We'll keep the cheese separate from everything else. Wagabashi dalegi, eat a man. Oji duiethis. Cheese somewhere else we'll put. Everybody lost? Fried chicken. Dolose sakmoski or dolos sakmoski. Baked chicken, dolos podupki. Podupki. Boiled chicken.
Why would you drop the E?
On dolosi? It's just the way we talk. We can't say general like dolosi hodupki, baked chicken, but the way we speak, like I remember when I told y'all guys, we speak different than what we teach. Because teaching is more formal, but the way we speak, we cut off that E, we just say dolos hodupki or dolos shapmoski. But we can use dolosi to make it more formal. Boiled chicken, dolosi moski or dolos moski. Vegetables, not lani, green things. Pinch istoshi. Ham, shokahabi. Vinaigrette. That's any kind of dressing, not just vinegar, but it can be ranch, it can be French, it can be any kind of dressing you would put on, would be to pour over green things. Nak shokjanida. Nak shokjanida. And situation environment tells you when you got salad and you say something to pour over it, you know it's dressing. You see what I'm saying? Does that, does that,
Yeah.
am I clear on
Yeah, I
that?
think so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now look here, somebody wanted
There it is.
Halloween words. Halloween words. Here we go, because Halloween's coming up. And you know, my grandkids are just, they've been talking about Halloween and Tulsa State Fair this past week. So, and then my daughter, you know, well, the 3 grandkids and the daughter, they said, Mom, Dad, this is every year. You going help us with wristbands? And me and her dad had already talked about it. She texted me, you know, and she said, Mom, are y'all gonna kind of help us with wristbands for the fair? And I said, we talked about it. So, you know, she's gonna take our grandkids to the fair, which my husband can't walk it anymore, you know, he can't walk that fair anymore. He said, but I still like to go. And I thought, you know, we're gonna get halfway in the midway and you're gonna say, I can't walk and I'm gonna be stuck with you, because we did that at the mall one day. I couldn't get him out and I had to go get a wheelchair and pull him outside. Pumpkin. You see pumpkins? Halloween. Chushi. Oh, and I seen Indian pumpkin that we're gonna have to buy. Me and my husband buys it every year and we cut it up, slice it up and put it in the freezer, so we'll have pumpkin during Thanksgiving and Christmas. Chushi, but they're different from this. There's 2 different kind of pumpkins. One that we cut on it, make faces out of, and the one we eat. The one we eat is called Indian pumpkin, and it's beige, not orange. They're beige looking, and that's one we would die for that. And I seen somebody selling it, so I said, we need to buy pumpkins. Zombie. Istiila is a dead person. Hishaga means they're breathing. They're dead people breathing. Istiila, Hishaga. That's a zombie. He's dead, but he's still breathing. Black cat. Orsilusty. Bat. Dakfaliliska. Skull. Iga funny. Iga is head and funny is bone. So see, we don't really have a word for skull, so it's descriptive. We say the head bone. Iga funny. And don't get that mixed up with brain now. Brain is gulby. But skull is iga funny. Graveyard. Isti hobilga. Isti is a person and hobilga means they cover. So that's more or less graveyard or cemetery. That's any cemetery graveyard. You call it isti hobilga. Corpse. Isti ila. Ina. Isti is person. Ila is dead. One that died. Ina is body. Because a corpse is a body. So you would say isti ila ina, body of a dead person. Dark, yumuchki. Decapitated. Iga sigo. Iga is head and sigo means not there. To hex or put a spell on somebody. Imbothida. Shadow. My husband's gonna put our carport into a little, he does it every year for our kids, so he's gonna fix it up, you know, this year, and we're going, and usually I serve Indian tacos, and one year we had that, and people just come over, you know, and I made 100 pieces of sliced bread. And about 30 pounds of hamburger meat. And I'm like, they're still coming. And you know, it was just family, kids, you know, and then sometimes the girls, you know, my kids, they invite somebody over. I made 100 pieces of fried bread. shadow. Abiti. Evil. Hithigo.
So it means good, not.
Not good, yeah. Cause Hithimahi is good, very good, but when you say Hithigo, that means evil, not good, not good. Witch, Bofa. Remember, they put a hex on you. Right here, Imbosida is to put a hex on somebody, but a witch does that, so she's a Bofa. Blood, Chada. Blood is Chada. But look at this now. Chadi is red, but blood is Chada. Casket, Tuhahawa. And Tuhahawa is a box. We don't have a word for casket. We just say Tuhahawa, and that's where situation environment comes in. Because when somebody dies, they'll say Tuhahawa in Hubohi. We have to find a box. It's situation environment. You know that it's a casket. And I know when it's a box. You see what I'm saying? But this is just a word for box. Tuhahawa.
So some of you were looking for Amazon or something, it would be the same thing for box, for the Amazon box.
Spider. Ajuksanwa. Cauldron, the big black pots, and we put dry ice in ours where it'll smoke.
And you guys go out.
Oh, well, my husband is like a child. And then, he did that for our daughters, And then all of a sudden, then grandkids came along. And now he focuses on them and he does all this stuff for kids. I don't like it because I have to do all the cleaning up and cooking for him. But he does. And so I just go with it, and and the kids, they enjoy it. So I just, it's all about our grandkids anymore. We just go all out. And we'll dress up. He'll dress up and I'll dress up. And my daughters, they'll dress up, And one of my daughters was Avatar one year. And my husband, he'll put on coveralls and a mask, and he'll just sit there not moving. And these kids will come up to him and punch on him. Is he alive? Is he alive? Is he real? Is what they're saying. And they'll say, is he real? I said, well, no, but he comes out every year about this time. Every year he comes out about this time. And I'll be dressed up. And when we did it for my mother, we put spider webs in her whole garage. And then we put a chair in there, and she was white haired. That was, when she was alive. And we set her in that chair, and she looked like a spider. Sitting there, and she'd give the kids candy while we were dressed up, And we'd get that black pot, and we'd put a dry ice in there, and they'd be smoking. And she'd say, don't scare those kids. But she enjoyed it when they did get scared. And I said, Mom, I don't know what you want, But at the end, because in our little town, we're so little, but boy, we had a bunch of kids. And at the end, every year, we'd put on Thriller, and me and my husband would dance. So about 9 o'clock, when it ended, all these people would be lined up on the street with video cameras so they could film me and my husband dancing to Thriller. We do think we were, and my husband more like a child. That's how come I say I've raised, him too, besides our kids. Lihaya means leg maker, big. Li is short for Ili. Haya means maker, leg maker. And if you look at that, they got little legs on them. Lihaya, and that's descriptive. Satan. Dinik Theza. That means somebody that burns you. Devil. Dinik Theza. Dinik Theza means they burn you. How? Wohohogi. Wohohogi. Yahat wohohoges. the wolves were howling. But just the word howl is wohohoki. Mass, dothofa, sukthanga. Dothofa is face, sukthanga means it covers it. Okay. Midnight, nithi nathkaba. Nithi is nighttime, nathkaba means middle, midnight. Nathkaba. Moon, hathisi, monster, honka. And you know, my little one, when she was little, she was about a year old, she was talking. She was maybe a little younger than that. She says she heard the dogs barking. And she went, Ma, honka. She was crawling anyway. And she crawled to the door and she goes, Ma, honka. We taught her that anyway. We shouldn't be doing that, you know, but you know, ow. Noel, Oba, Oba, pitchfork, chofonwa. That's like a fork that you eat with, but we also called it chofon taco. Big fork, but that's a pitchfork. Fog, hobithi, and this is a word, hobithi, you know, like hobitha yahola. I've heard everything, they pronounced it hopothali, everything, but you know, my grandma, he was kidding my grandma, and she said, hobithi, hobithi fog, hobithi, you know, fog. Flashlight, kulguji means a small light, but that's for situation environments, because gulgi can be in a house light, it can be car lights, but when you little flashlight gulguji that you can hold. But now listen, I want y'all to write this down. A lantern that you hold is called gulgi shalaka. Ishalaka means you can hold it because it's got a handle. Okay. Grim Reaper. Don't want to be
Maya, back up to flashlight. Those you're talking about different kinds, you know, like the lantern that you hold. What about those ones that let's see, what do they call them? Those hurricane lamps?
Lighthouse? Like a lighthouse?
No. That you put oil in the little base, and then you have that, you know, that you just set on the table.
Yeah, I know.
It has a wick and everything. So. Isn't that what it's called? A hurricane lamp or something like that?
It's a lamp, I know. I got some. Kulgoji, same thing. But that's where situation environment comes in. You know, you call it kulgi, but and then you know, you set it on table. Kulgi gulijas. That's like turn on the light, but they went back then. That's where situation environment comes in. You know.
I thought there was a name for specifically for that.
Golgi is halaka is the one that you is a lamp that
That's
you,
the lantern.
Yeah, okay.
but she's talking about an oil lamp. Golgi niha.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that.
Golgi niha.
Sit on the table.
Table. Got a wick in there. You got it lighted. It's got a globe on it. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
got a few of those, and we had put them up, and our electric went out. We had a big storm down here, and I tell you, our yard is a mess, and we didn't have no electric. You know, we went out Saturday. Sunday, Monday morning about 1:30. But we was at the wake, you know, so we got home and my daughter went home and she goes, "We got lights, Mom." They called us, you know, we was at the center with the body. Golgoji is a flashlight, means little bitty light. Grim Reaper. Dogwilla Bijaja. Grim Reaper helps you cross into the other world. The Grim Reaper comes in and, they'll say Grim Reaper's coming, or you better watch for Grim. It means he's there to cross you over into the other world. So Dogwalla Bijaja means crossing, you cross over. He makes you cross over. That's what that is.
Haramagto. Haramag.
Dogwalla Bijaja. Grim Reaper is somebody that helps you go into another world. So it's Dogwalla Bijaja. Help you cross over. Dogwalla Bijaja. You get that? Dogwalla Bijaja.
Pero,
Then, let's see. And there's more, and y'all tell me, and I'll translate it. Count Dracula. Isti Jada Iska Miko. Jada Iska is blood drinker king. That's Count Dracula. Skeleton. Isti Funi. Isti is person, Funi is bone. So you're saying a person's bones. Isti Funi. Andy. Champa or Kindi. Yes. And wicked. Hulwaija. Hulwaija. Wicked. And it's just like saying Hulwaija. Hulwaija. Scarecrow. Bahi Isti. Last man. And it can be hey man, but Bahi same thing. So it's called Bahi Isti. Spider web. Ajuksan Wahuya. Ajuksan Wahuya. Or we say Ajuksan Huya. Ajuksan Huya. But this is formal because you're saying spider web. But Ajuksanwa is spider. But the way we say it and the way we speak, we just say Ajuksan and it's off. Ajuksan Huya. Any questions so far on what thing we went over? Even at the back, at the one. Okay. Vampire. Dottie Iska. He's just smaller than the Count Dracula. He's not a Miko. He's just a vampire. So it's just Jada Iska. But now Count Dracula now, he's Jada Iska Miko.
Question.
Okay.
Okay. Stagini. How does that fit into witch or shapeshifter, or have I been missed?
Stigini. Listen now. Listen to this. Isti. Person. Gini means like, they turned their shapeshifters because it's got isti on it. It was a person and it turned into a stigini.
Okay.
So, isti is person, isn't it? That's where you shapeshift. By the way, I've had my experiences with those.
So that's correct. So Stagini is.
Yeah.
So.
And mummy. What's a mummy? It's a dried up person. It's been wrapped up, but it's been what do you call it? Yeah, dehydrated. But he's been. You can hydrate him. It's called Istiila Guthrie. Istiila means dead person dried up. Guthrie's dry. Istiila Guthrie is mummy. Oh man. Oh man. Shapeshifter, here you go. Nak ihaya. Nak means something. Ihaya means they turn themselves into something. Like Haya is a maker, but they turn ihaya, not ihaya. You know that you follow Canadian people are going to storytelling in October. They have it every year. And I go, they build this fire and people will show up, tell stories. Scary stories during Halloween. I go every year, you know. I've got some pretty scary, and they're true accounts. And you know, in our cultural, in our world, especially Scotty, um, we believe in those things, you know. And I told y'all that one day, I saw my mom. Then when I turned around, looking, standing there, but it was just a glance, just a glimpse, and but it was long enough to know I knew who she was. And then, you know, like that one day I told y'all too, I was standing, this was daytime, we were standing, getting ready to go somewhere, and I was standing in the kitchen, and we heard that back door shut, and I thought, well, my grandkids came back. And I went back there was nothing there. But the back door shut like somebody shut it. And then my husband was standing in the carport on a Saturday. Oh, no, it wasn't. It had to be a weekday. He was standing there. He said he was out there and he said he heard that back door shut again. Where does these things come from? You know, I always wondered what our beliefs are that people don't just die.
Energy is energy.
Energy, you know, energy, their energy. So, and my uncle used to tell me when they're made out of static electricity, and said even when a person leaves, that static electricity is still around and they're still moving. Now, I don't care what it is, I'm scared of them, man. I am scared of stuff like that, you know, because they're not there. And my brother told me, you don't need to be scared of that because you need to be scared of a live person. I said, but I can see a live person, he's tangible, but a person that you hear that's not there anymore, that's scary. And my grandma's house was haunted. I hated that place, but you know, we would go over there and I would, you know, because daytime you could hear somebody come down the stairs because she lived in a 2-story. You can hear people come down the stairs. You can hear people talking. And boy, I tell you, I didn't like that place. And my uncle's the one that offered my brother and his friends. He said, I'll give y'all $100 a piece if y'all go spend the night. They wouldn't do it. They turned down $100 to spend the night in that house. I wouldn't have. That wasn't enough for me. It says same at the house I grew up in. You know, yeah. There was a family, and they're long gone now. They've been gone because I was young. I was probably about 16 when but you know, they said they bought a house and they moved in it. And she said spirits ran them out. She said it got to where you could, drawers were pulling out, and said even the quilts was jerked off of them when they were asleep, and said that you could, and it got to the point where you could smell them cooking.
Wow.
She said one night it got so bad, she said we only had what we had on, and said we left that house. And they used to drive a van, you know, and I know this little woman, she said we left and never went back. It reminded me of that show, Amityville Horror. She said they ran off like that. And you know, Halloween's a big time for some people, you know. And some people says, well, it's an evil time. For us, it's just candy. Giving these kids candy. We don't, you know, and like one year I told you I gave out hot dogs, you know, and I had a yard full of kids eating hot dogs because they start early, like 3, you know, and so I thought, you know, they don't have time to feed them. So I'd go in and put on a pot of wieners, and then I'll get buns, you know, and then I'll make chili, and I had chili dogs for them, and I mean, I had a yard. They looked like Halloween decorations, but they were all in their little costumes sitting out in my yard.
I'll be in your house as a Mvhayv.
Yeah, they were all out there in their little costumes, and they were all, and you know, we had chairs out there, but you know, they filled it up, and these kids didn't care. They just flopped down on the ground and ate their little chili dog, and I said, if y'all want more of them, and I went and bought a lot of them because, you know, I knew there were kids be coming up there. And then I just served like Kool-Aid, you know, and stuff, and they enjoyed that, you know, and they would just look like my whole yard was decorated because they were little kids in these costumes. And then word of mouth, go to Miss Barnett's house because she's giving out hot dogs. You know, giving out hot dogs. So these kids would show up and, you know, they say hot dog, please.
Not even trick or treat.
Yeah, they say, and I said, what do you say? And they say, trick or treat, you know, give me a hot dog. Give me a hot dog. And then one year, you know, it was just for my kids, you know, that were gonna go trick or treat them. I made them Indian tacos so they could eat before they went, you know. Well, it got word of mouth, and like I said, I ended up making like 100 pieces of fry bread. And then I was re-cooking hamburger meat that I had, you know, I was cooking that.
Stored away.
I was cooking that.
Put a tip bucket there. A tip for the chef, the cook.
And you know, my husband, he enjoys that, and I do too, you know. And so, you know, we are, you know, and I guess, but you know, we do, like I said, during we're gonna go through stories. We went through, you know, different things going on. It's because they met the hat. Well, Haram Mahaya, Haram Jimita Gatis, Madam Mahaya, we'll see. So, you know, things like this is
Mahaya.
uh-huh.
My son-in-law started that when my grandchildren were small, and as they got older, they were always trying to, you know, figure out how to make it bigger and better. So, you know, just like you were saying, they decorated their carport, they decorated whatever they could, and they just wanted to scare people. So we would end up with all kinds of candy because nobody would come to our house because they were afraid of what was there or what they thought was there. And so, but it was just like they would hang up sheets and play eerie music and lights and stuff like that. And it wasn't anything, you know, expensive for us, but and as they go, like you said, my son-in-law was like a big kid, you know, and so he was always in the middle of those kids. And so that's one thing that, you know, I can say they had good Halloween fun, you know. And so, I mean, there's really nothing scary, but, you know, they just had a good time scaring some of the children. So.
And you know, even now, you know, we got together. He said, you know, I'm gonna tell stories, but he's gonna fix up our carport for the kids, and he loves to decorate. And I'm not a person. You know, I'm not creative. You know, I don't know how to do this stuff, but he gets all out in it. How would you treat in? How would you say trick or treat? You would say maybe. Okay, now let me think about that. I never thought about that. That's one there's a walk on. Trick or treat. Let me think about it. That's a good question, Anthony, but I'll get back to you. I will, I swear. I'm gonna look. Hey, I'll get back to you. But you know what? Like you said, you know, we just had fun with it, and then you know, people start showing up. We are getting tacos, like recooking hamburger meat, making fried bread. I said, Mitchell, I'll do 100 pieces of fried bread. And but you know, my husband's like a big child, and of course there was 13 of them, and I don't know what he, you know. And then we got a commercial type popcorn. It's commercial, and it costs a lot of popcorn, and so we'll get popcorn and chicken sacks, you know, and we got for our carport because he'll enclose it. And then we put these heaters in there, And they'll stay in the coldest day, that's probably warmer than the house. They'll go in there and watch movies, pop popcorn. That's what we do. Now, Halloween is coming. His big day. That's his big day. And I'm like, oh my God, you know. And I've been thinking, I haven't told you, I've been thinking about what am I gonna cook? What am I gonna do? Hey, that's an idea. Pigs in a blanket, she said. Now, that's a good idea. Pigs in a blanket. I never thought of that. You know.
Just grab it.
Yep, that'd be good. I may have to do that. But yeah. Or
Maya, before it got kind of scary about people doing different things with, apples and stuff like that. My granddaughters, they always like to make things, and instead of giving out candy, they would always like make popcorn balls and caramel apples and things like that. They would rather do something like that instead of just giving out candy. And but when things got scary, I said, well, if you don't know us, well, then don't take them. But, you know who we are, and we wouldn't want to hurt the children that come by our house. And so some would take and some wouldn't, but it was, when they just didn't know who we were. And but my granddaughters, they really enjoyed doing things like that. They were always making something, to give the children instead of just candy.
But that's what I did too, was that I made a bunch of popcorn balls. And of course, in our small little town, everybody knows each other. Everybody knows who's who. So they didn't have no problem about taking popcorn balls, but I tell you what, that word of mouth again. They got popcorn balls over there, and that's where the kids, ended up. And my mom said, where are all these kids coming from? I didn't think there was that many kids in Hannah. And I said, come out of the woodwork. They're like, comes out once in a while, But I don't know if I told you all that story about that little girl that showed up. She was a princess, and she had her little wand, and she had her little heels. So when she walked down Mom's drive, and it's just right off, it's just right there. And then we could hear her coming, tick, tick, her little heels, tick, 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 tick. And I said, Mitchell, don't you scare this little girl. She's by herself. I said, don't you do it. And I couldn't see his face because he had a mask on. And I said, I swear, Mitchell, hear this stuff. Well, she got her candy, and she was walking off, and tick, 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 and he blew that horn. And we heard her. Tears running. My mom was mad at my husband, but laughing at the same time. Because it started out tick, tick, tick. Then it went tick, 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 tick. I got so tickled. I was like, Mitchell, I told you not to do that. I told you not to scare her because she was by herself. I tell you what. Uh-oh. Azizka. Docina. Azizka. Hamga. Docina. Azizka. Docina. Muyanega. Ayibahanega. Bakshi in Hayatka. Bakshi's tomorrow in the morning. Bakshi in Hayatka. Thursday. And we're gonna go over these a little bit, and something. Let me know, cause let me know, and I'll try to get it up here. And so, but these greetings, and remember, greetings, ja means something that belongs to you, something that belongs to you that can be your body parts, your brothers, your family. You can't change them. So, remember that, ja. Right? And then Halloween words. If y'all got something, let me know. But I got one word. What was that? Trick or treat. I'm gonna write that down. Okay, madam, guys.
Madam, jihad jadi someone.
Oh, jihad guys. Oh, I know. Madam.
Well, yeah, there you go.